The day he realized he wasted 10 years. Listen carefully, because one day this could be your story. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year. One day, you might wake up and realize that the last 10 years of your life disappeared faster than you ever imagined. And the scary part? You won't remember where they went. You won't remember the thousands of hours spent scrolling through your phone. You won't remember the endless excuses. You won't remember all the times you said, "I'll start tomorrow." You'll only remember one thing: the regret. The painful realization that time never stopped moving, even when you did. Imagine waking up one morning. You look in the mirror and suddenly realize that you're not the same person you were 10 years ago. The dreams you once had are still dreams. The goals you once talked about are still unfinished. The life you promised yourself is nowhere to be found. At first, you try to ignore the feeling. You tell yourself that everything is fine. You tell yourself that you still have time. But deep inside, you know the truth. You wasted years. Not because you were unlucky, not because life was unfair, because you kept waiting. Waiting for motivation, waiting for confidence, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for some magical day when everything would finally change. But that day never came, because change doesn't arrive, it's created. Every successful person understands this.
They don't wait for the perfect moment. They start with imperfect conditions. While others are waiting, they're moving. While others are dreaming, they're building. While others are making excuses, they're making progress. But you didn't understand that yet. Instead, you kept telling yourself the same story. Tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll wake up early. Tomorrow I'll start exercising. Tomorrow I'll learn that skill. Tomorrow I'll work on my goals. Tomorrow I'll become serious. Tomorrow. 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 And suddenly, 10 years passed. One of the biggest lies people believe is that they have plenty of time. Time feels unlimited when you're young. A year feels long. A decade feels impossible to imagine. But life moves faster than you think. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. Months become years. And years become memories. Before you know it, you're looking back wondering where everything went. The truth is that most people don't lose their dreams overnight. They lose them gradually. One excuse at a time. One distraction at a time. One comfortable decision at a time. The tragedy isn't failure. The tragedy is never trying. Failure teaches lessons. Failure builds strength. Failure creates wisdom. But avoiding action creates nothing except regret. And regret is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry. Imagine standing face to face with the person you could have become. Imagine meeting the version of yourself who stayed disciplined. The version who worked hard. The version who didn't quit. The version who took risks. The version who stayed focused. What would that person look like? How different would their life be? How much stronger would they be? How much happier? How much more confident? Now imagine realizing that person could have been you. That's a painful thought. Because deep down, most people already know what they need to do. The problem isn't not
Because deep down, most people already know what they need to do. The problem isn't knowledge. The problem is action. You already know that exercise is good for you. You already know that learning is important. You already know that discipline matters. You already know that scrolling for hours won't improve your life. The issue isn't information. The issue is execution. Every day you delay action, you pay a price. The price isn't always visible immediately. That's why procrastination is dangerous. The consequences arrive slowly. You don't notice the damage after one day. You don't notice it after 1 week. Sometimes you don't notice it after 1 year. But eventually, the bill comes due. And when it does, it's painful. You realize that every day mattered. Every hour mattered. Every decision mattered. You realize that success wasn't built in one giant moment. It was built in small daily choices. The same is true for failure. Failure isn't usually one big mistake. It's thousands of small decisions repeated over time. Choosing comfort over growth. Choosing entertainment over learning. choosing excuses over responsibility, choosing fear over action, again and again and again, until years disappear. One day you see an old photo of yourself. Maybe you're smiling, maybe you're full of hope, maybe you're talking about all the things you're going to accomplish. And suddenly, a question enters your mind. What happened? What happened to that ambition? What happened to those dreams? What happened to that fire? The answer is simple. You got comfortable. Comfort is dangerous because it feels safe. It never warns you. It never tells you it's stealing your future. It simply whispers, relax, take it easy, start tomorrow. One more day won't matter. And before you know it, comfort has stolen years of your life. The world is full of people who plan to become something, plan to start a business, plan to get in shape, plan to learn new skills, plan to chase their dreams.
But planning alone changes nothing. Action changes everything. Results belong to people who move, not people who wait. That's why successful people often seem ordinary at first. They aren't necessarily more talented. They're just more consistent. They keep going when others stop. They keep working when others procrastinate. They keep believing when others quit. And over time, that consistency creates extraordinary results. The good news is this. As painful as regret can be, it can also become a wake-up call. Maybe you're reading this right now and realizing that you've wasted time. Maybe months, maybe years, maybe more. That's okay. You cannot change yesterday. No one can. You cannot recover lost years. You cannot rewind time. But you can control what happens next. And that's where your power lives. Not in the past, in the present. Right now. This moment. The decision you make today matters more than all the mistakes you made yesterday. Because today's actions shape tomorrow's reality. Imagine deciding that enough is enough. Imagine refusing to waste another year. Imagine finally becoming the person you've been talking about becoming. What would happen? Your life would start changing. Not instantly, but gradually. One good decision at a time. One productive day at a time. One disciplined action at a time. You'd begin building momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates action. Action creates results. Results create transformation. That's how change happens. Not through motivation alone, through consistent effort. There will always be reasons to wait. Always. You'll never feel perfectly ready. You'll never have perfect conditions. You'll never have complete certainty. If you wait for those things, you'll wait forever. The people who win in life understand this. They act before they feel ready. They move before they feel confident. They start before they have all the answers. And that's why they grow. Because growth happens through action, not preparation, not planning, not wishing. Action. One day, years from now, you'll look back at this period of your life